you made your first $1 million in a day, and then you scaled down just so you could focus on other things in life.
And if somebody could not afford our services, we would hook them up with the finance company. The finance company would get them approved, obviously, with interest. When I came to Islam, that was one of the biggest sins. I cut ties with that company, and that affected 60% of our sales. I'm glad it happened, because I think in life there's two types of people when something bad happens to them. They're the people who use that bad situation to justify their victim mentality, and then there's the people who use it as inspiration.
I got a bit traumatized. We had an event, and at the end of it, I tried to sell to people. When I made the pitch, it just spoiled everything for everyone.
There are 4 levels of offers, and this is how you become a millionaire as fast as possible.
Okay.
In these 4 levels of offers, at level 1,
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Guys, welcome back to another episode of the Righteous and Rich podcast. Today, I have someone very special sitting in front of me, Brother Dan. Assalamu alaikum, bro. How you doing?
Alaikum salam. How are you?
I'm very well, man. So, just to introduce you to the people, Allah Mabarak, you are a very accomplished guy, man. Allah Mabarak, in terms of the marketing space and the digital product space. You've been there since before Ty Lopez, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, successfully, unsuccessfully, yes. I've been doing it for 13 years.
Allah Mabarak. You've shared stages with people like Grant Cardone, Alex Hormozy, Russell Brunson. Mashallah, you've won the 2 Comma Club award and also the 2 X award.
10 million and above.
Allah Mabarak.
Yeah.
Very good, very good, very good. And you made your first $1 million in a day during COVID.
Yes, I did.
Through a webinar. Allah Mabarak. And we're consistently hitting $1 million a month. And then you scaled down just so you can focus on other things in life.
Yeah, well, I put most of that money in my real estate business. And so now I kind of put more focus on that. And I still do online stuff, but it really feels good not to have to dance on Instagram all the time to make money. So
we're going to dive into the whole investment strategy because I feel like that's a big thing a lot of entrepreneurs are lacking. But I want to get straight into it, man. So look, you obviously have accepted Islam, and accepting Islam comes with its challenges in terms of, your personal life, also in terms of business. And one of the things that you mentioned, obviously you have low ticket services, high ticket services. A lot of people would pay you by financing the service, and you wanted to stay away from accepting money that was going to be financed through
Riba, yes.
Riba, interest-based loans, and that actually affected 60% of your sales, if I'm not mistaken?
So at the time, 60% of our sales came from an agreement we had with a finance company.
Okay.
And if somebody could not afford our services, we would hook them up with the finance company. The finance company would get them approved, obviously, with interest.
Yeah.
We would get a kickback. We would get paid. And so, it wasn't a matter of, oh, hey, if you happen to have a credit card, use it. It was a direct partnership we had with this company. And it was a company that had partnerships with many people in the industry that got people, even if they had low credit scores, approved. And because it was so easy to get funding for your business, and, in America, it is very easy. We have the Small Business Association. We have all these different ways to get funding because everything is interest-based. When I came to Islam and I came to the understanding that was one of the biggest sins, and what really made me think about it was a sin that, as far as I know, is above zina in terms of severity. And I thought, well, if it's above that, it must be pretty important. And so I cut it out. And the reason I did that was because in my opinion, I've done some, some things that I'm not proud of in my life. And coming to Islam, when the slate is wiped clean, I did not want, I never thought that would happen, and I wanted to keep the slate clean. So I said, okay, I'm not going to accept Riba. So I cut ties with that company, and that affected 60% of our sales. And I think that is not just because I cut that, but I cut it in a time when, the market got a bit more competitive, saturated, economy down, and all that combined, it affected 60% of our sales. So imagine you're making, let's just say, $1 million, right? And you're spending, $300,000 in expenses. And all of a sudden one day, bam, now it's, $400,000 and you're still spending that $300,000 in expenses.
Wow.
Because the expenses don't change.
Yeah.
You know? And so I had to figure out ways to compensate for that. And what I realized was that I was really good at what I did. But the ability to get people funded made it easy. When I took that away, I had to get even better at what I did. I had to get better at presenting, at social media, at one-to-many selling, presenting webinars. I had to get so much better than I ever thought. And many people at the time thought I was one of the best. And I realized, no, I need to be better to compensate for this. And so I went on a journey to get even better at mastering that craft. And that's what did it. I mean, it wasn't a magic pill. It was honestly just learning to get even better at what I did.
Was it a scary prospect to basically walk away from that deal that you had with that financing company? Like, did you know it would affect 60%?
No, I didn't know it was going to affect it that much.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I wasn't going to like go back to it, you know? And, you know, I made and what's funny is I told some of my Muslim brothers and they were very encouraging. Like, oh, that's great that you did that. And so when it happened and I saw the effects of it, what am I going to do? Go back to the people that praised me and be like, oh yeah, I went back to it because I want to make more money. And so I'm glad it happened, you know, because I think in life there's two types of people when something bad happens to them. They're the people who use that bad situation to justify their victim mentality. And then there's the people who use it as inspiration to achieve a new level of growth and get to a higher level of being. And ultimately, that's what challenges do. I believe Allah places hardship and suffering in our lives to show us that we can be a lot better than we are. And if He did not place that and He made life easy, we would never achieve our fullest potential.
Tell me if you can relate. So you go to pray Salah while you're at work, but you're rushing because your boss has put a timer on your worship. People are saying things about Islam. Maybe they're even talking in pro-Zionist terms, but you have to keep quiet to protect your job. If that sounds like something that you relate to, then don't worry. I'm not saying you're a bad person. It's just that you're in a bad system. Many of us find ourselves stuck in the rat race. We want to escape so we can be free, but at the same time, you need this work. Otherwise, you're going to be in a very bad place. So for that reason, I want to share with you an opportunity that I've come across from a brother who's helped so many people like yourselves break out of this rat race. The brother's name is Abu Lahya. He's got a very simple program. He helps people like yourself connect business owners to influencers, strike a deal and pocket the difference. Super simple, right? And guess what? Also super effective, Allahumma barik. But it's not easy. It requires a lot of hard work. His students have already made $3 million plus in combined income, mashallah, tabarakallah. And in the next year, they're projected to do $10 million. We've sent people from this very channel to go and join his mentorship, and their lives have completely changed. Most will make their first sale, inshallah ta'ala, within 90 days, and 96% of his students make money if they follow the roadmap that he lays out for them. These are real people. We're talking about fathers who are struggling to spend time with their children. We're talking about students who are struggling to get married. We're talking about slaves of Allah who wanted to worship Allah and didn't want to, worship a paycheck. We're talking about brothers that were one bill away from breaking. Now, the best part about this is that you don't actually have to leave your job. You can do this on the side until you make enough money, until that security is there with Allah's permission to actually make that change and become financially independent. Look, from this program, you're not going to become a millionaire, but what you are going to become, inshallah, is free. So in summary, if you're tired of rushing your salah because your boss doesn't like you taking long breaks, and you want to make good, healthy, decent, and consistent income, inshallah ta'ala, then you should definitely apply for Abu Lahya's mentorship at the link below, inshallah ta'ala. It's not easy to get into. They're super picky about who they let in. It requires hard work, but it works. It genuinely works. With that said, you can apply at the link below. So, you know what I love about this, yeah? It just shows that these false I like the victim mentality word that you use. It just shows that these false assumptions and false beliefs people have about, I have to do X in order to make money. And, you know, a lot of times when they're using haram to justify it, like I need to, you know, do this or do that. But the fact that you said that, no, actually, you just had to get better at your craft. And fundamentally, business just, I think that's what it comes down to, right? Like if you're great at the service that you deliver and you're great at just presenting it to people in a way that meets them at their pain points or whatever have you, people are going to buy from you. Because if I'm not mistaken, you've made more money since.
Well, I don't know if I've made more money since because I was able to get our profit margins back to crushingly high.
Okay.
But it depends on if you count my real estate business. Because if you count that, then yes, I've made more money since. But if you just talk about the internet business, I would say no, I made more money back then overall because that's all I was focused on.
Okay.
Right? But I'm happy that I took that money, put it into real estate, and let it multiply itself. So, you know, I had to fly to Qatar a couple days ago. Literally got up in the morning, flew to Qatar, signed one POA at the Costa Rican consulate to sell a property that I had.
Okay.
Flew back same day. That took priority. That was $1 million deal for me. I'm not gonna. Well, no, I got to record content today.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I had to do that, right? Of
course.
So I prioritized that. But even with that, still, we do big numbers online. I mean, in December, I did what I call a paid presentation. A lot of people do these free Zoom trainings or webinars. I did one that I charge for. I like to charge for them. I still do free ones, but I also like to do paid webinars. And we did 800,000 in sales.
Allah barik.
In USD.
Very good.
Mashallah, in that one event, right? So it's not like I don't still make money in that, but back in the day, man, I was doing 1.5 a month every month, like clockwork, because that's all I was doing.
So I've seen you talk about intentionally also scaling down, right? Like as in like you could be hitting those numbers now if you wanted to, but you've scaled down intentionally just so you don't have to, so the business doesn't become like your everything.
Yes. Like you just saw Alex Hormozi do 105 million in a day.
Yes.
Right.
Correct.
Now I know Alex. I talk to him every once in a while. And he's a very nice guy because we were in the same mastermind like 7 years ago. And even to this day, I can text him and he's very kind. Like he didn't get, you know, big for his head or whatever. Him and his wife are very nice people. But they made that money not because of just being smart. It's because they have an amazing amount of resilience and consistency, and were willing for 5 years to put out free content, build up to that moment. You've heard them talk about like leaving vacations and this. And for me, you know, I lost my family years ago. I got divorced over that type of attitude.
Okay.
And I got remarried. I got my family back. Alhamdulillah. But I will never go back to that. I will sacrifice everything. I will grind in order to make this much money when I can not sacrifice everything, maybe sacrifice a little bit, but not ultimately just be obsessed. And I can make this much money, but this much money is still plenty of money to have an amazing life, you know? So that's just my thing. I like to stay lean, small, and build a business that does not stress me out. Because I guarantee you, doing the numbers they did, all the infrastructure they have, all the employees they have, and that's for any business, right? For any business that at that level, it's going to stress you out. I don't want to be stressed out. And for me, making multiple millions and not being stressed out is far more attractive than making 100 million and being stressed out. But again, this is my goal. This is my intention. Alex or Tony Robbins or Russell Brunson, they all have their own goals and things that work for them. I don't think anyone should feel bad about wanting to stay small and enjoy their life over being the next Steve Jobs, who's, by the way, Steve Jobs said on his deathbed that he wished he didn't do that and it wasn't worth it.
Oh, really?
Yes. He said he wasn't worth it and he would have rather spent time with his family. And I've never forgot that. And that has made a huge impact on the way that I live my life.
That's very deep. You know, I often speak to entrepreneurs a lot and guys that are, you know, very successful, making multiple millions. Sometimes their active income is over 8 figures annually. And I ask them a lot, you know, like why? Because you've got enough money to not really have to work another day. you've got investments that bring you passive income. You don't actually have to do this. And I don't really often get a very good answer. So I'm gonna throw that same question to you, man. Like, why are you still working? Because like with the real estate, I guess it's pretty passive. Your income compounds if you keep putting money back in.
Well, it's somewhat passive. I still have to find properties. I have to find deals. I got to make sure they get remodeled properly, which in Dubai
can be problematic.
We'll leave it at that. Yeah. I had to fly to Qatar to close a deal. You know, I mean, so I wouldn't consider this passive, but it's a lot more passive than, you know, running a business where you're putting out content and you're doing stage presentations and Zoom presentations and things like this. But for me, there's been multiple times, like I took 1.5 years off at one point. Okay. But when I go to conferences, I will have people come up to me, not 1, not 5, not 10, but like 100, 150, right? This is why I bring hand sanitizer with me now, because I'll shake, you know, like 1,000 hands. And every time I get sick, I learn if you just do this after everyone, you're good. But people will tell me stories about how they bought a program from me, they read one of my books, or even watched a YouTube video, and it saved them from losing their home. It saved them from not being able to see their mother because their mother lived in a different country and they couldn't even afford a plane ticket. Oh, wow. All the way up to making $1 million, $10 million a year. Oh, wow. Stories from, I could not buy my kids Christmas presents, bought your program, 2 days later, had a great Christmas. All the way up to, hey, Dan, I'm doing 2.5, $3 million a month with an automated webinar presentation that you helped me write. And when I hear these things, it kind of reminds me that, you know, God gave me a gift, and I've used that gift to change a lot of lives. And for me to simply say, well, I have enough money, I should stop, you know, using that gift, I think is a little selfish. But one reason why I believe I stopped was because and this is why there's such low trust in the market right now. People got better at selling and promising than they did at delivering. Okay. And I've had so many people come to me wanting me to teach them how to sell a BS offer. Like, I'll give you an example. Amazon automation, right? Bro, if you sell Amazon automation, you're a scammer. Because you know darn well that you just know, like it's a BS scammy biz op offer. Okay. The model doesn't make sense. Why would you charge someone 30 grand to set them up an Amazon store that's going to make them 30 grand a month? You would simply hire out, spend way less than 30 grand, build it yourself, and scale a massive operation. Hire a COO, hire, you know, C-suite level people, and make it Agora, like Agora did for newsletters. So just by the very nature of offering that, you know you're a liar. Okay. Okay. And I don't like working with these businesses who sell these horrible. To me, that's haram. To me, that's haram. To offer something like that. I mean, you're just a liar. Okay. And so too many of those people.
Yeah, definitely. You're not allowed to rip people off. Like
you can't rip people off. And I got a bit sick of having, you know, a good chunk of my customers want me to help them rip people off. But then I because, you know, we forget things sometimes. And I realized that if I can go back to my fundamentals of communication and how to build a brand, I can correct that by putting things out there that deter those people, that, you know, make sure that those people would never even like me, you know? Like, for instance, I just said that. If you sell a scammy offer like that, you're probably going to hate me now. Please hate me. I want you to hate me. Get off my email list. Get off my socials. I don't want you. I don't want you around anywhere near me. Please go. You know? So I kind of just had like a moment of like clarity, like, okay, I just need to attract the people who want to do good in this world so that I can help them do more good.
So who are those people? Like, what kind of offers, what kind of people do you prefer to work with?
I prefer to work with who I call the overlooked expert. These are people who are very good at what they do. Okay. And that could be something like, it could be anything as simple as a bookkeeper, all the way to somebody who is a health coach, all the way to somebody who is they help businesses, or they help people with stress. Like, for instance, I have a guy, one of my favorite clients, his name's Mario. He helps people stop divorce even if their partner is unwilling to work on the marriage.
Oh, wow.
And I actually went through his program. It is brilliant.
Really?
It's brilliant because what he makes you realize is that people run on programs, right?
Okay.
So all these things that let's say your wife is like, I'm done, I want a divorce, etc. That's simply her programming taking over. And if you can communicate in a way that shows her that, hey, this is a safe space for you. Once the woman feels safe, she no longer wants a divorce. Okay. And like, he just gets you to think in a different way and save your marriage. And to me, this is a great service to the world.
Absolutely.
Of all the things permissible, the one that Allah hates the most is divorce. So when somebody like that comes to me and says, hey, Dan, I do this thing that's really important. I care about my clients, but I just don't know how to make it sound good. I don't know how to communicate my value so people get it.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I know how to take people who are good at what they do and make it sound as good as it truly is. And that turns you into an in-demand expert because people, they want the in-demand person. See, when you have to beg, plead, lower your prices, you are overlooked because in-demand people don't have to justify their price. They are the obvious choice. And so one example I give, very simplistic example, is if you're walking down the road and you see two lemonade stands, and the lemonade stand on the left says freshly squeezed lemonade, and the lemonade stand on the right says yellow water with sugar. Which one do you buy? Freshly squeezed lemonade. But they're the same exact product.
Thing, yeah.
And the principle here is that people don't buy good products. They buy products that sound good. And if you care more about your clients than your competitors, if you care more and you're better and you get better results, but they're getting the customers because they know how to explain what they do better, this is a disservice, and it can be something that can keep you awake at night. It can be something that can torment you and terrorize you in your mind because you know you are better than them and you care more, but you can't get people to see it. And I show people how to get them to see it.
Okay. If you're like any decent Muslim out there, I know you wish you understood the Arabic language so that you could connect with the Quran. Do you know how long it took me to learn the Arabic language? It took me like 7-8 years. And you know why I'm kind of upset about that? It's because I've recently come across Ijada Institute, which has students speaking Arabic in 6 months. In 6 months. So I was mind blown. So I decided to connect with the founder and the teacher, Sheikh Abdurrahman, and I asked him, how did you do it? And he built a system, Allah Barik, that focuses specifically on teaching those that are non-Arab speakers living in the 21st century, i.e. our context, how to study Arabic. Most of the programs that you're going to see out there in the books were not even designed for Westerners or non-Arab speakers. And if they were designed back in the 90s and the early 2000s. This is a program that's mind-blowing. I actually listened into one of the calls that they have with the students. They log on and they talk to each other and they talk about their day. And I was like, wow, these brothers and sisters, of course, there's no free mixing. They are talking in fluent Arabic in 6 months. Now, of course, you have to put the hard work and you have to do the work, but you can just focus, just doing a small amount every single week. And within 6 to 12 months, inshallah ta'ala, you're going to be proficient. And then there's going to be that moment where you're going to be in salah, you're going to be reciting Quran, and it's going to come and you're not expecting, I promise, where you're going to relate to an ayah and it's going to touch your heart in a way, it's going to bring tears to your eyes. And that's going to be the beginning of your relationship with the speech of Allah. So if you want an Arabic Studies Institute that, inshallah ta'ala, works as far as I'm concerned, and within 6 to 12 months you want to be speaking Arabic and then, inshallah, understanding the speech of Allah, then apply to join Ijada Institute at the link below, inshallah ta'ala. So let me throw something at you because just to give like a live running example. So I've actually been having an issue with my offer currently, right? As I mentioned to you briefly outside, it's a network for 7 to 9 figure Muslim entrepreneurs. With networks, generally speaking, And again, it could be my ignorance here speaking. But people come in for different reasons. Some people want to come in for deals. They just want deal opportunities, right? And what is a deal? Even that's very broad. Is it an investment opportunity, a joint venture, a hire, a client perhaps, for a particular service? So I'm struggling to really pin down, like, what is the actual one offer? How do I bring it all together? And also with networks, it's like,
well, this is easy.
Yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, why?
There's no like standard dream outcome, like, Hormozi's $100 million offer.
Listen, this is very easy. Listen.
Okay.
These are 7 to 9 figure entrepreneurs, right?
I love how you just with confidence. It's easy.
Okay. Listen. So
something I've been struggling
if you're a 7 or even 8 or 9 figure entrepreneur, you've done something that most people in this world have not done. Mm-hmm. And you've achieved a great level of wealth, recognition, perhaps even fame. Mm-hmm. But that leaves one burning question. Mm-hmm. What now? Mm-hmm. You see, there's an old saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Mm-hmm. But that's the thing. Mm-hmm. You're at a point now where you are the smartest person in the room. Mm-hmm. And it's very difficult at your level to find rooms where this is not the case. Mm-hmm. How do you find them? How do you level up? Because ultimately you got where you wanted to be because you are the type of person who consistently wants to grow. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter how much recognition you get. Tomorrow, you want to have just a little bit more than you do today. Next year, you want to do better than you did today, because that is what people like you do. They grow. Wherever they are on the scale, they want to get to the next top end of the scale. Whenever they are on the ladder, they want to get to the next step, because that is fundamentally who you are. You are a mover and a shaker, and movers and shakers, they don't sit, they stand up and they move. That's why I'm presenting to you a room where this can happen. This is the room you need to be in. This is the room where everyone in it is just like you. And each person brings to the table something that can help the other person. Imagine a think tank where everyone there is the smartest person in the room. But now they're in one room where everyone is like that. How much more could you learn? How much higher could you ascend? How much bigger could you be if you were in this room? That's more how I would frame it.
You just freestyled VSL. That's impressive.
Yeah, that's what I do. Thank you. MashaAllah.
That's very impressive.
Yeah.
Okay. MashaAllah.
I never thought about it that way. Yeah. It's like being a rapper, freestyling VSLs. Imagine if I sat down and actually researched it and put it together,
Yeah, no, that's phenomenal, mashallah. So look, if I can just push back. So that solves a pain that some people have, right? Which is, I want to be around people that are like better. But generally speaking, people that operate at that level, usually not alone, right? Like, as in, if someone is making 20 million a year off of his active income, he's probably he's got contacts. He's got people that he can kind of resonate with. I find some people, they say to me, look, that's the problem I'm trying to fix. But then others are like, bro,
how many people are in the offer now?
So currently we've got 40.
Okay. Yeah, so freestyling VSLs, ideating, this is great, but this is not what smart entrepreneurs do. We don't try to come up with the answer. We try to find the answer. Yeah. So if I were you, here's what I would do. Okay. I would ask all 40 of these people. I would basically ask them what was the reason they got in the mastermind, but I wouldn't ask it in that way. Okay. I would say, listen, you came here, you made the investment. If you could only get one thing out of this, if you only got one thing that was worth still making the investment and you got nothing else, what would that thing have been? So you got a lot out of this mastermind, yes? Or this network? Yes, I have. What is the one thing you got out of it that if you only got that thing, it would have been worth the investment? Take all 40 answers and look for the common denominator. Then build your marketing, your messaging, and everything about this around that one thing. Because now you're not researching the market who's interested, you're researching the people who've actually bought and made the transaction. And then build it around that. That is what you should do. Freestyling VSLs, coming up with ideas, ideating is great, but ultimately it will never compare to doing the actual research.
Yeah. No, that's phenomenal. Yeah, because that's what I got. I got that we want to be around people that are going to upskill us, and want to be in a room where there's going to be deals. But definitely, I haven't done the hard yards and actually.
I mean, you could say something like, the last big deal that you got, how hard did you have to work for it? How many phone calls did you have to take? How many family dinners did you have to miss? What if you could be in a room where deals like this were overflowing? You know, I mean, there's a potential angle.
Very nice. So, a couple of questions I have on this before we pivot. So, what are your thoughts, on? So right now, this online high ticket space, would you say it's getting pretty saturated?
I think saturation is sort of a mental construct that we create because, okay, I'll reference, because it's relevant right now, I'll reference back to the Hormozi launch. Hormozi literally sold the same thing that everybody sells.
Yeah.
Okay. He's like, okay, $100 million offers, $100 million leads, $100 million money models. Right. Well, what did he just sell you? He sold you offers, traffic, and conversion.
Yeah.
4 years we have been selling. If you're a marketing guru, offers, traffic, conversion. Right. It's like the same thing over and over. Right. So there's two ways to compete in a saturated market. You either make something that is saturated sound new, as if it's never been done before, or you sell it to an audience that has never heard of it before. So you either change the audience or you change how you describe it, or both. When you can do that, you can make it sound new, sound fresh. Everything that has been done has already been done, period. Okay? The only way to succeed is how you communicate, how you present. So I'll give you an example, right? I'm a big believer in presentations because I know that there are people out there that grind themselves to the bone with sales teams, outreach, setting calls, etc.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is once you stop doing that, your income goes away. You haven't built a personal brand.
Correct.
You've just made money.
Yeah.
But when you can make that money with a presentation, you move past the concept of a salesperson and you move into being a thought leader. You move into having a personal brand. You move into a leader in the space. Because when you can sell through presenting, you're much bigger than a salesperson, and nobody likes salespeople. So I'll give you an example. Life coaches, probably the brokest coaches in the world. But who is the only billionaire life coach?
Tony Robbins.
Tony Robbins. And how did Tony Robbins sell all of his stuff? Through what? Presentations. Okay? So Tony will continue selling, continue growing based on presentations he's already done. If he would have sold that stuff cold over the phone, once he puts the phone down, it all stops. So even if I could make a little bit more with a sales team, I always sell with presentations because I get more out of it than just sales. I grow my brand. I grow my message. I become a thought leader. And you just saw Hormozi do $105 million in a day. Ain't no sales team. He just sold it on a YouTube Live. A $6,000 offer of a stack of books.
So there's a myth around like webinars, which is that you can't sell high ticket live.
Okay.
The most I've personally ever made of selling off of a webinar is $90,000. It was 70 sales at about £1,000. £1,000. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, what are my thoughts on people?
Like, I wouldn't have had the confidence to go higher.
Okay, well, what are my thoughts on people that think the earth is flat? It's like that. It's ridiculous. It's just a ridiculous concept. Okay. I did a webinar 2 weeks ago. I made $150,000. And those were offers that were $10,000 to $50,000. One person bought my $50,000 VIP day in a 1 hour webinar. So it's just never been, when I got started in this space, one of the first things I did was a webinar. So you know how there's this story of how hundreds of years ago, there was like this area of Europe where children at 5 years old were writing political essays and actually working in government. And it was because
this is true.
This is true. And
at that 5 years old?
5 years old. Okay. And at that time, I mean, we'll even think about before the formal education system.
Yeah.
Mary Shelley, what was she, like 10 years old or something? Wrote Frankenstein? Yeah. The thing is,
she was 10?
I don't remember the exact age,
young?
but it was super young.
That's crazy.
Yes. So, Alexander the Great, he was 17 when he almost took over the world.
Yeah.
You see, there was a period in human history where nobody thought of children as children. They thought of them as small humans. So they did not impose these limitations of, oh, he's just a kid.
Very interesting.
On them. So they just never thought that they couldn't achieve these things because nobody ever put that stupidity in their mind. So when I got started, the reason why I was so interested in webinars was because I worked for a company when I was younger. It was a Pitchman company. I'm sure you've heard of Billy Mays, the OxyClean guy.
I haven't, no.
Okay, so there was a laundry detergent company. It was doing $10 million a year. It then got into the infomercial space.
Okay.
And a guy named Billy Mays was who they hired to do the infomercial.
Okay.
Within a few years, that skyrocketed them to $100 million a year.
Oh, wow.
So a laundry detergent company did not stay in the laundry detergent business. They got into the presentation business.
Okay.
Just like Tony didn't stay in the life coaching business, he got in the presentation business. Just like, what's the most successful computer company of all time? Apple. And who sold Apple to the world?
Steve.
And what did he do every year to sell more Apple?
Presentations.
Presentations. He got into the presentation business. Okay? So these are companies that grew rapidly because they got into the presentation business. I worked for the same company where he got his start. And I was doing pots and pans demonstrations at grocery stores. And my manager told me, he's like, there's a secret to extreme rapid growth in any industry. You got to get into the presentation business.
Okay, so when you say presentation, it actually sounds a lot more attractive than webinar as well. Right, because
that's why I don't say webinar.
Yeah, because webinar. So this is my pushback, right? And I'm happy to stand corrected. So when you're selling to a more sophisticated audience, these guys know you're gonna sell to them now, right? Like I know, for example, when I'm being pitched at a webinar, I know exactly how this is gonna end. It's gonna be a standard Russell Brunson. I'm kind of, what's it called? Expert secrets. We're going to have the stack and I forgot what it's called, but we're going to have the offer stack in a second. I'm going to be sold to. And even if it's not necessarily that particular method, I'm going to be sold right now. So how do you frame it in a way where it doesn't come across so overly salesy? Or is that not really a problem? Is that just a personal, self-limiting?
Well, if you're selling to a group of people who want to learn about selling, this is very meta, right? So I would say something like, listen, I'm going to make an offer to you at the end of the webinar. I mean, you came here to learn how to sell stuff. So I would be disingenuous if I didn't also try to sell stuff. Yeah. Okay. So one great thing you can do is simply admit to the sale. But what I've done in the past is I've done what I call a price marinade. Okay. So at the beginning of a webinar, I will say something like, listen, at the end of this webinar, I'm going to make an offer. Now, listen, I help two types of people. Okay, I help people who are willing to stand in line, and I help people who are willing to pay for a fast pass and skip the line. If you're the type of person that is okay with standing in line and waiting, or you're not at a point yet in your career where you can afford to skip the line, that's why I have a free YouTube channel. That's why I have an Instagram channel. That's why I'm doing this webinar today. This is for you, and I really hope that it serves you. Yeah. But for those of you who are willing to pay to skip the line and go to the front, I do have an offer to help you. So when you say it this way, you're basically saying, hey, I'm here to help you. But for those of you who would like a faster way, we have this over here as well. Okay. And then what I'll say is, I have a $50,000 VIP day where you fly out to Dubai, you come to my home, etc. And I might show a screenshot, like in December, I sold 6 of them. And I'll show like the 6 transactions to say like, this is a real thing. So now in their mind.
So you mentioned the price right at the beginning.
Yes. But see, on that same webinar, I might be selling a $10,000 offer, but I'll mention the highest thing I sell.
Like a price anchor.
Price marinade, because what I'll do is I'll say, listen, this is what it's going to cost. So now in their minds, the whole time they're thinking 50 grand, 50 grand, 50 grand. And I'll also say, listen, I don't want you to stress over how much this is going to cost or what I offer, as I want you to be able to focus on the content. So can I just admit to you what I'm selling and how much it is and get that out of the way? And everybody's very grateful for that.
Okay.
So I say that, right? Then at the end, I say, now listen, I know that I told you I have a VIP day that's 50 grand. And I do. If you want to buy that, you're more than welcome. However, I have something else that's a lot more affordable. Would you like to hear about that? So now this does a few things. Number one, it shows them that, this thing exists. And for those who actually want that thing, it's available. Number two, it builds up the $50,000 price point in their mind. So when I say, hey, this is 10, now they're like, oh, it's only 10, rather than, oh, it's 10. This is a technique I learned from Chris Voss, okay? He gave this story about how if you go up to a hotel checkout counter and you say, can I get a late checkout? They're going to view that as like, oh, he wants a late checkout. But if you say, listen, I hate to do this to you. I'm about to ruin your day. I'm really sorry. Now, in their mind, they build it up to be this big thing, like, oh, he's trashed the hotel room, he broke a mirror, whatever, right? So now this horrible thing exists in their mind. So when you say, I need a late checkout, now they're up here. And now, instead of viewing the late checkout as a burden, they view it as a relief.
Okay.
So this is how you make people go, oh, it's only 10 grand or 5 or whatever, versus, it's 10 grand. Okay. And when I do this, it comes off very genuine and it works really well. Plus, it also lets people know, hey, there is a 50,000. And on my last webinar, somebody actually took that offer. So
very interesting. So what would you talk to them about? Because there's this whole concept of like, don't give people like the actual finer details during the webinar, but more so like just touch on the pain points, give social proof. And okay, cool. It works. People who are maybe a lot less sophisticated will buy, but I just feel like a guy who's a sophisticated buyer, he's going to need some actual value in the webinar. I'm going to have to give him something for him to actually sit there and stay.
So this is a big misconception, right? Because I don't care what level you're at, nobody wants more or better information. And this is the big mistake people make. They try to give more information than their competitors, or they try to give better information. Fundamentally the wrong thing to do. Okay. And I've made 35 million with webinars. I don't say that to brag. I say that because I have experience, right? I've seen the data. I've seen the data in my own webinars. We have written a ton of webinars for our clients as a service, and I've coached 2,500 people on presentations. And across the board, we've seen what works and what doesn't. So this is not my opinion. This is just data that I'm relaying to you. When you try to give more information or better information, people check out at any level. What you should do is simplify information. More value can be given by making something simple so that it can be used, rather than sharing something complex, fancy to justify your own ego or your own insecurities around what is value. Because we misunderstand what is value. We think value is giving more information or better information. But value truly is helping people use the information. And if you want to help people use the information, you have to make it simple. And so one thing that a lot of, and this is not just my data, this is industry-wide data. There was a interview on the channel Founder where the CEO of Easy Webinar was asked, you've seen thousands of webinars, you run a webinar company. What are the best webinars? And he says, that's easy. They show you a path to success and then they offer to do it for you or with you. So the webinar, the presentation should be solely based around a new way of doing things to accomplish your goals. So you find a problem, you talk about why the old way they're doing it is not good and the new way is better. Give you an example. If you are standing at the base of a mountain and you had to get up to the top of the mountain and there was a very treacherous path up the mountain and you thought that was the only way to get up the mountain. But then someone walks up to you and says, hey, did you know there's this other path that's shorter and easier. Would you not consider that value that they simply told you that exists, something that you did not know exists?
Absolutely.
Right. So by showing people a new path, a new way to get what they want, that in of itself is value. And to break this down, there's 4 ways to explain something. There's what to do, there's why you're doing it, there's when to do it, and then there's how to do it. You only have an hour on a webinar, okay? So that's plenty of time to explain why, what, and when. You don't need to explain the how. How confuses people. See, people that pay attention. So when you sell them on your offer, whether it's a done with you, whether it's a done for you service, etc., well, now you're allowing them to get to the how in a context of, hey, I've paid. I now am actually going to use this stuff. Okay. So this is one reason why I actually do paid presentations a lot, because people that pay attention, and people that pay attention pay more. Very simple thought experiment you can do. Have you ever seen a movie trailer and in the first couple seconds, minutes, you see something you don't like, and then you say, that doesn't look like a good movie. I'm not going to go buy a ticket. You've had this happen before, right? Of course. But have you ever bought a ticket to a movie, got your popcorn, got your drinks, went to the movie, sat down in your seat, saw something in the first few minutes you didn't like, and then got up and left? No. Why? Because you
committed.
You paid. You paid to be there. So when I do paid presentations, I get nearly 100% show up rate. People are more locked in. Then I can actually teach some real value because they will accept it. When you teach technical stuff on a free presentation, people, they check out. They view it as overwhelmed. But when you teach some technical stuff on a paid presentation, they're more open to receiving it as value and actually using it, and they're a better type of client.
Okay.
So it's you can teach the wrong thing or you can teach the right thing. And if you do want to give value, one way I've done it, and this has worked very well for me, I had an ad that did over $1 million, just one ad.
Oh, wow. And
it's using a framework I call Teach Step 2.
Okay.
So in your customer's journey, there's step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, etc., to get what they want. If you teach them step 2 and they still are currently at step 1, you can give all the value you want. You can teach all the how you want in step 2, and they'll be like, wow, this is amazing, but they still need step 1.
Very interesting.
So I had an ad.
Okay.
And my offer I was promoting was how to create a marketing agency. And so in this ad, it was like a 10-minute ad. I said, here's how to get better results for your existing marketing clients.
Okay.
And I went into this whole thing. And then at the end, I said, hey, do you still need to get clients? Go here. And they're like, wow. And that ad did $1 million because they didn't know how to get clients yet. But they were grateful for receiving the value of how to manage more clients.
Very interesting.
I taught step 2.
Very interesting. I'm just thinking out loud how I would apply that, like maybe like an ad that talks about how to structure a deal, how to approach, how to spot,
how to retain a deal through due diligence.
Right.
But how do you get the deal?
How do you get the deal?
Yeah.
Very interesting. Pardon the interruption, but in case you ever wanted to move to Dubai, I've got something very special for you. As you may be aware, myself and Abu Bakr moved to Dubai and Sharjah last year. It was one of the best decisions that we ever made for our deen, our families, and our businesses. Living here is amazing. You've got a masjid in almost every single street, unparalleled safety and security. You've got lessons from mashayikh and different teachers and students of knowledge in English and Arabic, and no income tax. Now, how do you move here? That's a question that you might be asking. Well, it can be tough if you don't know your way around things. Sometimes the companies that help you get visas here, they got hidden fees, long waits, big problems, resulting in visa rejections, a lot of wasted money and time. This is where Ansar Consultants comes into play. They helped us set up everything. No hidden fees, no long waits. They kept it simple and honest. I got my visa in less than a month. And these guys have a 100% track record helping brothers get their visa so far. 100% track record. That's insane. Allahumma barik. Now, if you're thinking of moving to the UAE, I recommend Ansar Consultants. They can even help you invest in properties here with a 100% Sharia compliant contract. So if you want a smooth move like we did, click the link below and check out Ansar Consultants. Now, back to the podcast. So I can see how this would be really effective for an educational product, right? But what about a product that isn't educational, like our network, for example? Like I I'm struggling to think of like what I would base.
So you want an example from a non-info product industry.
Non-info product. I can even see how it would apply to service, like agencies, for example.
So let's say that you are a tax attorney. You could do a presentation on how to legally eliminate your taxes by starting your own foundation. So you could say, hey, do you make over this certain amount per year and you're paying this certain amount in taxes and you want to legally eliminate those taxes and do some good in the world? I want to invite you to this presentation where I'm going to show you how to start your own nonprofit foundation and completely and legally eliminate your taxes. So now they come. So now you explain to them how to create a foundation. So you're explaining what to do, right? Create a foundation. Why? You now explain how foundations works and how they are legal to eliminate taxes. When? You want to do this when you're making this much money and you're paying this much in taxes. Now that leaves the how. So after you've explained all this, at the end, people are like, wow, I did not know that I could create a foundation and save taxes. I did not know why it worked and how it's legal. I did not know that existed. And I did not know that if I am paying this certain amount, this makes total sense for me to do and it's worth my time. So now at the end of that presentation, the tax attorney can say, well, listen, now that you know this, here's the question. Do you want to set up a foundation? If so, we have a done for you foundation service where we will set up your foundation. We will put it all together, register it, do the books, whatever, yada, 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 and book a call. Done.
Interesting. Okay. So that was a step 2, and then the step 1 is basically
No, that wasn't step 2. That was old path, new path, right? So listen, you're trying to eliminate taxes now by buying equipment for your business. You're trying to buy real estate and do deductions. You're trying to buy art and give it away. But what if I could tell you that you could actually keep all that money and protect it from taxes? Well, this is a foundation. And then what, why, when, okay? You can teach step 2 is one tactic. It's not the tactic you use every time. It's just one tactic I have used. But ultimately, you always want to teach a new path versus an old path. And you want to teach what, when, and why. Leave the how for your paid offers.
But if it's step 2, you would teach the how.
If it's step 2, you could teach the how because you know that they still need step 1. But you have to know your market. Can I give you an example of when I did this wrong?
Okay.
So early in my career, I sold a Facebook ads course, okay? And it was how to get started with Facebook ads. You would register for the webinar. On the next page, after you registered for the presentation, I would say, hey, listen, you registered for this presentation because you want to learn how to start doing Facebook ads. But let me ask you a question. How would you like to get to the front of the class? If you have struggled with installing your Facebook pixel, I have a program called Pixel Hero. It's $37. And in the next 60 minutes, when you're done with the program, you'll have your Facebook pixel installed. It'll be optimized. Everything will be good to go. So now you can actually start running ads. Okay. So what this was is a different how. This was a solve a problem that creates a problem. Hey, you don't know how to install your Facebook pixel, so I'm going to solve that problem so that it creates a new problem. How do I run ads? So it's the opposite of teach step 2. Okay.
Step 1.
But notice I taught how to solve a problem that created another problem. Now we made $150,000 off of this little $37 course, which helped pay for the ads to come to the webinar. However, later on, I thought, oh, I can do better than that, which is like fool's gold, right? And there was a little training in my program called Chiro Walkthrough. It was a 2-hour walkthrough of me setting up an ad campaign for a chiropractor.
Okay.
I thought, oh, this is better. So I swapped out the Pixel Hero course and I put in the Chiro Walkthrough course and I charged $47 for it. The conversion rate was almost double, meaning I sold twice as much of that $47 course as the $37. Now, you might think that was success, but it wasn't. It was a death sentence because that month I had no sales from my main program, my main Facebook ads course. None.
Okay.
And I was like, what is going on? And then the next month, and now I'm just like bleeding money and I'm like, what is happening? So I emailed every single person that registered or bought that and did not buy the main program. I said, hey, I noticed that you registered for this webinar. You bought this $47 Facebook ad walkthrough. Why didn't you buy the main course? And they were like, every single one of them said the same thing. They were like, I didn't need to. You showed me everything in the $47 course.
Very interesting.
So it's not that you can't teach too much or you should hold anything back or you should give everything away, give away the farm. It's what farm you give away.
You have to be strategic about how you...
Right. So I gave it all away in terms of the main goal, which killed my sales for the main offer. But the other offer was a different farm, if you will. I went hard on the Facebook pixel, like really how to optimize it, how to make sure all these mistakes you could make. So I gave everything away on that problem. I solved that problem completely. But that problem created the need for another problem. So it's not that you can't fully solve problems, it's what problems you solve.
Very interesting. Okay. What are your thoughts about just letting people know the price of something before, like, you know, like at the VSL stage? I'm talking about the high ticket offer now.
This is very market dependent, and I don't try to pretend to be, you know, some sort of soothsayer. Like I don't know. You have to test it.
Okay.
So I will test it. I will test different sales videos. I will test different ways to pitch. I did a online paid presentation called the Epic Pitch Challenge.
Okay.
I did 5 different versions of it. Actually, I did 7. 2 of them were automated. I tested a 3-day version. I tested a 5-day version. I tested just, you know, all kinds of stuff, ways to pitch it, ways to frame it, so that I could figure out the exact way to do it. And what I actually found was there were certain things that really resonated with my audience, okay? And there was 2 ways I could sell this offer. The first way was I could speak for 22 hours because the one that did the best, I spoke for 22 hours total. I don't want to do that. I got a family, right? I'm not doing that. The second way I could do it was to really double down on the exact things that made the most impact for everybody that bought. So I decided to do that. I condensed that into a 1-hour webinar.
Oh, wow. 22 hours down to 1 hour. Okay.
And I did it a couple of weeks ago and I made $150,000 in an hour.
Oh, wow. A long bit.
Okay. So if I do that...
It was live?
Live.
Okay.
So if I did that webinar once a week or automated it, I would rather do that and make the same amount of money ultimately, or even if it was a little bit less. Because, you know, what's $150,000 a week? And it'll just get better as I optimize, right? So let's say I could get it to 200. 2, 4, 6, 8. That's an hour a week for $800,000.
Wow.
Versus me speaking for 22 hours and making $800,000.
Oh, wow.
And so finding something that works and then testing it and optimizing it so that it works for you. I ran into a guy in an elevator here in Dubai a couple weeks ago. And he told me that he made $1 million off of a presentation and that he had learned a lot from me, et cetera. This happens to me a lot because I've been in the game for 13 years. And I said, well, what were you selling? And he was selling how to do webinars, you know? And I said, okay, well, tell me about the promotion. And so basically what he told me, to make a long story short, was that he spoke for 7 days. He spoke for like 7 or 8 hours a day. And then he did another bonus session for another 5 hours on an 8th day.
Okay.
And then he had a phone team of 40 closers who talked to every single person. And it's like, okay, you made $1 million, but you just killed yourself. You had to run this massive team. You had to do all this crazy stuff. And yes, absolutely. If you do that, if you're Hormozy and you put out 10 YouTube videos a day for 5 years, if you just absolutely do a shock and awe campaign, more, yes, of course you can make money. Maximum effort will make money. For me though, I have a family. I've already lost my family once. Not going to do it again. I look for the most output for the minimum effort. My maximum effort comes from figuring out what to offer, what to say, and optimizing it. That's where my max effort goes in. And then once I've created the thing that doesn't require effort, now my effort can go down and I can get the same output for a fraction of the effort because I put all my effort into maximizing one talk that crushes. Just like Tony Robbins, if you see one of his talks today, it's the same as it was 30 years ago because his mentor, Jim Rohn, told him that if you have something good to say it often and you'll be successful. Tony Robbins found something good to say and he was smart enough to never change it. And that is why he makes billions of dollars selling something that most people are dead broke trying to sell, and that's life coaching.
So interesting you bring up Tony Robbins. We have a book here, right, where you've actually dissected his pitch presentation.
Yes, I'm a big believer in breaking down what works. And so I took one of Tony's pitches and I watched the whole thing, paused it, played it.
Just to give people context, in case anyone doesn't know who Tony Robbins is, he's the GOAT of
personal development.
And I guess selling info products. I don't know
info
anyone
products,
that's a billionaire.
Events.
Like he sold more than Hormozi.
Well, yeah, but it's Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
I mean, that you don't get any bigger than Tony.
100.
So what I did was I went through his pitch, and as you can see here, this is Tony, and this is him speaking. The red is my comments.
Okay.
And so as you go through this document, you will see every single thing he said, like literally every single thing, I explain it. Okay. So I'll give you an example here if I can find one. So Tony, right? At the beginning of this pitch, he says, many of you think of something you struggled with for years. It might have been a problem in a relationship, might have been your body, it might have been smoking. So then I say right off the bat, he begins with a problem, which is exactly how you should open a pitch. He's literally asking, do you have this problem? But notice how he's not being vague. He's hitting specific pain points people actually have. So he's mentioning different problems, but the same feeling around the problems is you have this lingering issue in your life that you can't seem to solve. Your body, your relationship, smoking. Okay?
Well, that's got to be on the back of data. You must have seen that a lot of people from his demographic probably smoke, right?
Well, I mean,
that wouldn't be arbitrary.
I mean, if you want me to be direct, who is Tony Robbins' audience? People that are messed up. Okay? I mean, if you're up at 2 a.m. watching a Tony Robbins infomercial, who has their life together that's up at 2 a.m. watching an infomercial?
You're right.
You know, like, you know what I mean? He helps you get your life together.
You're right.
That's why he ran infomercials at 2 a.m. because that's the only people up watching that stuff. Okay. So anyway, I did this breakdown and I actually give this away for free.
Oh, wow.
So you can get a copy of this. I'm happy to give it away to your audience. It's just,
that'd be lovely. We'll put the link below.
Yeah. It's just getclients.com/Tony.
Okay, so, we'll put the link below. I also link them to your breakdown of Hormozi's.
Yes.
You spent about 3.5 hours breaking down his entire webinar.
Yes,
well, right?
So and if anybody doesn't know who Alex Hormozi is, he's a business influencer, and he blew up in the past couple years, very famous. He's been on Diary of a CEO, and he did a launch for his book, and he did $105 million in a day. And he actually used a pitch strategy that myself and many other people learned years ago. We were in the same mastermind, and he just obviously...
Is it Russell's one?
Well, you know, people will say it's Russell's, right? But the truth is Russell is what I call the reporter. What Russell will call you is the reporter. Those one-to-many selling frameworks have been around when all those guys
Jason Fadley and those guys.
Yeah, but all those guys weren't even conceived in their parents' minds when that stuff existed.
Oh, really?
No. If you want to go back to the actual originator, you're talking Dan Kennedy.
Okay. Yes.
Right. Like, it's so funny how, this is this person. And I like all those guys. They're all brilliant. But guys like Dan Kennedy, Bill Glazer, these are who actually... like invented these things.
This is a side point, right? But is it still worth reading like Dan Kennedy's books? Like considering that
if you're, I mean, not unless you hate money.
Really?
Yeah.
So you say like, as in, I came across a statement, which was really profound. I think was it Naval Ravikant? He said, the best stuff is the old stuff.
Yes,
because if
the new stuff's watered down.
His point was if it stood the test of time, then it's good.
But I go beyond Dan Kennedy. I go to Zig Ziglar. I go to presidents. I mean, I have sat down.
Why do you go to presidents?
Well, think about this. What do presidents do? They do a constant series of presentations. Of webinars. You are all right. Think about it this way. let's take the American political space. You have Democrats and you have Republicans. Okay? Both sides, every 4 years, say the same thing. They have the same opinions. They fight for the same causes. They fight against the same causes. It's the same message every year.
Yep.
So what are these politicians doing every year to win? They're making the same thing sound new. This is why Donald Trump won. Literally went through the worst PR scandal, whatever, of any president, and then won again because he made it sound new. Now, I have studied thousands of sales presentations, speeches from political figures and influencers. And I have found that when you have a successful presentation, it comes down to 4 things. I call this the epic pitch framework. Okay? If your pitch can accomplish all 4 of these things, it is going to smash. I'm happy to go through them.
Yes, please.
Okay? So the first one is E, entertaining. It has to be entertaining. If people are bored, they're not going to stay. They're not going to hear your message. They're not going to receive it. You have to figure out a way to make it entertaining. And most people think that means acting wild and crazy, but that's not true. You see, back in the day, there was a guy who made millions of dollars selling how to fill out applications for government grants. And he made millions of dollars doing this because he was acting wild and crazy. And he had like a question mark on his suit and he was yelling and he was screaming. His name was Matthew Leskow. So that's one way to do it. Act wild and crazy. However, there are other ways to do it, like telling a very good story. Stories and narratives are entertaining. So have you ever heard of Tom's Shoes?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so this is a shoe company that almost went out of business.
Oh, Tom's Shoes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, almost went out of business. And the guy that owned it, Tom, he went to Argentina one time and he
I
saw
thought the guy's name was Tom Shoes.
No. He went to Argentina and he saw that most kids there didn't have shoes. And so he decided for every pair of Tom's shoes that he sold, he would give 1 free pair away to the kids. But he never told anybody about it. He just did it out of the kindness of his own heart. Now, his company was struggling. Well, he went to a party one day and he met this woman and he was telling her about his shoes. And he just happened to mention this story of going to Argentina. And when he did, she went from not caring about the shoes to being so engaged with what his cause was. She wanted to buy shoes. She wanted to buy 2 pairs of shoes. Then she brought over her girlfriends and she said, you got to hear this. They bought shoes. And then he thought to himself, maybe I should tell this story in my market.
Yeah.
So he started to.
Okay.
Bam. $100 million company.
Wow.
Okay. So telling stories, Simon Sinek said, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. You have to tell the story behind why you do it. So that's entertaining. Number 2 is personalized. It has to sound like it was made just for them. It has to sound like when I hear that pitch, it's like you wrote it just for me. You have to personalize it so it sounds just for them. The third, and this is the hardest, irrefutable. So people often try to convince people or persuade people. This is fundamentally the wrong thing to do. You don't tell people what to think. You show them that they already believe what you need them to believe to buy. Give you an example. Back in the 1970s, there was a man named Ben Feldman. And he sold more life insurance than any other life insurance salesman in history using one analogy.
Okay.
And he worked out of a small Ohio office, not a big Manhattan firm like most of the big guys. He would ride the elevators up and down office buildings. And he would just say to the people in the elevators, hey, if you had a money printing machine in your basement, would you insure it? And they would say, well, yeah. And then he would say, well, aren't you that money printing machine for your family?
Oh, wow.
And that one analogy made him millions of dollars and the highest grossing life insurance salesman of all time. Irrefutable. For instance, earlier, I did not say to you, Apple is the greatest computer company of all time. Steve Jobs used presentations. That is a statement. I'm convincing you of something. What I said to you was, what is the highest grossing computer company of all time? What is the most successful computer company of all time? You told me it was Apple. I knew you would say that, but you told me. Then I said, who sold Apple to the world? You said Steve Jobs. I didn't say Steve Jobs. Then I said, what did Steve Jobs do every year to sell it? You said presentation. I didn't convince you to do presentations. You told me you should do presentations. That is how you communicate in an irrefutable way. And I call these agreement analogies. And if you can sprinkle them into your sales presentations, your video sales letters, your webinars, your one-to-many selling, when you get interviewed on a podcast, etc., boom, you will be massively persuasive without having to be persuasive, because people don't believe you. You're the slimy salesperson. They believe themselves. People believe what they say, not what you say. So make them say it. The final one is clear. Now, in order to be clear, because people who are confused don't buy. In order to be clear, you have to be very simple. Okay. When asked how Kamala Harris would fight immigration, do you remember her response?
It was like waffle,
right? Yeah. But when they asked Trump how he was going to fight immigration, I'm going to deport him. I'm going to build a wall. Yeah. Simple, right? Yeah. Everybody understands build a wall. Yeah. When Trump initially got elected, Hillary Clinton's speeches, do you know what they read at? At what grade level?
I'm assuming high.
12th grade reading level. Okay. Do you know what Trump's speeches read at?
Probably grade 3 or something.
Grade 2 to 3.
Oh, wow.
Was he entertaining?
Yes, he was.
Did he speak directly to the people, his base? Yes. Did he say things that people already believed?
You're right. It wasn't overly polished. It was just very...
Oh, it was polished. It just didn't sound like it. But trust me, that stuff is thought... I'll let you in on a little thing.
Okay.
I spent many years living in St. Petersburg, Florida, and a lot of people who have worked on campaigns for Trump as well as Ron DeSantis, I know them.
Okay.
I've hung out with them. They're marketers. What Trump is very good at, and nobody talks about this, he has a lot of people on his campaign team that are marketers.
Really?
They're not PR people, they're marketers.
What's the difference?
The difference is we know what we're doing. PR people think they know what they're doing. We know what we're doing. Okay? Because we base it on what's called direct response. You see, branding people are great, right? Like I'm not saying anything negative about that. But their focus is awareness. Our focus is response. We get people to do something, take an action, or buy right now. Branding people, or PR people, they want people to simply be aware of you. And the more aware and the more times you're aware, the more times you think of it, hopefully you'll get a response. We focus on getting the response now. Okay. Now, when you combine those two things, well, now you have something special. Okay. But if I had to choose one, I would choose direct response easily. And for me, whenever I watch Trump speak, I always can recognize the direct response tactics. He was entertaining, he was personalized, he was irrefutable, and he was clear, and that's why he won. He didn't say anything different than any of his predecessors. He simply said it better, and that's why he got elected. He had an epic pitch.
So, I'm very interested in this. Like, where do I get this formula, like in details?
So I have in terms of the epic pitch, I do have a little program I sell on it. I used to do these presentations and teaching my epic pitch live. But I've been traveling a lot lately doing podcasts and stuff. And so we sell the recording of it as a course. When you download the Tony Robbins pitch breakdown, I'll just be transparent, on the next page, you will be offered that program for a discount. You can grab it.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I do have, there's a YouTube video on my channel called "This Pitch Made Me 32 Million, Steal It." So if you don't want to purchase the program, again, I help two types of people who are willing to stand in line and people who will pay to skip the line. If you're the stand in line person, totally get it. Maybe you're not there yet financially, go watch the free video on my YouTube. But if you're the type of person who will pay to skip the line, you can grab that program.
This pitch thing, right? So as you've been talking, I've realized, I think I had an incident where I got a bit traumatized. So generally speaking, as a guy who's not really ever studied how to present or do webinars, I always felt like that was my strong point, right? And like I said, I capped out on a 90K one. And that was like, for me, okay, cool, this is amazing. I was just this short off of 100K in an hour. And I was just going to double down on that. But then what happened was that we had an event, we had a retreat. And at the end of it, I tried to sell to people. And so online, I feel like when I don't have to see the people's faces, it's easier for me. And I could be a bit direct with it. But in person, what had happened was that we had built up so much goodwill with everyone over the 3 days that when I made the pitch, it just spoiled everything for everyone.
Why? What makes you say that?
So the feedback that we got was that it was like, by the way, this is a room filled with entrepreneurs, like very successful guys, right? And they've paid like $5,000 to like dollars, for example, to be present, for this thing. It's not a lot, but it's like, point being is that these guys, this was supposed to be like the entry point, right? To then sell them something bigger. So they all kind of know what's happening, right? But then the feedback that we got was like, oh, bro, like we thought this was genuine. Like this was actually nice. But then we realized, we're just being salty.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
that's the feedback, because when we do these retreats, like we really like.
So there's a difference between selling $5 people and selling $5,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's the room you're in. Mm-hmm. So I always say you fill the room with the right people, you say the right thing, and you make the right offer. Mm-hmm. And if you do those three things, you're a millionaire. Mm-hmm. You have to you filled the room with the right people, obviously. But you still
framed it from day one. I was like, guys, I'm going to sell you something from the last day, by the way. Do you know, I even did that.
Okay, so tell me what the two offers were. The first offer, what did they pay $5,000 or why were they there? And then what did you try to sell them?
So they were there for a retreat. It was a networking retreat.
Mm-hmm. But why? What was that's fine, networking. But what was the problem you were promising you would solve?
So it was a supercar road trip. And the whole idea was that, listen, you're entrepreneurs working all day, every day. You don't take a break. Come hang out with people just like yourselves. You can network and grow with each other. And there was like a little mastermind that we did as well.
Okay.
So that's why they came.
So what was the offer that you sold at the end?
So the offer that we sold at the end, actually, it was the network, right? But I think I started prematurely. So
you sold them a $5,000 thing.
Yeah.
And then you pitched the same thing for a bigger price?
Yeah, so this was now, because the feedback that we had always received was after the events, we want to carry on staying connected and do more things. So that was the idea. It was like, listen, so we can carry on keeping the vibe, doing things, we'll be adding more people to it.
Condense it and pitch me.
Oof. You put me on the spot.
So they're there, they're doing the cars. So, pitch me. You got to the part where you're going to do the pitch. Okay. How many days was it?
3 days.
When did you do the pitch?
Right at the end of the last day.
Okay, well.
Yeah.
Okay, so you did it at the end of the last day.
Yeah.
Which is a bad idea, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, horrible idea.
Oof.
Okay.
Why is that?
You should have done it on the second day so that people would think about it. Okay, if you give value and then you pitch, but if you give value, you pitch, and then you give more value.
They forget about it. Yeah, because people remember the last thing, right?
Exactly.
Also, I think you solved the problem, bro. Because by asking what was the reason why they were there, I think the framing was wrong. It was just framed as, let's just get together as brothers. All right, sure, we're all entrepreneurs, but let's just be friends. I think that's what the issue was. It wasn't, the retreat itself wasn't presented as like as a business thing. It was presented as a,
like a vacation.
Yeah, as a vacation.
Mm-hmm. Got it. So vacation. How did you pitch it when you pitched it on the last day?
So, how did I do it? So,
like, especially the first 10 seconds.
Right. So I'm just trying to remember. What was
You didn't memorize what you were going to say?
I didn't memorize it, no.
Well, that's your first mistake.
Okay.
You should care enough about how you pitch to memorize and know exactly what you're going to say.
Okay.
So fundamentally, right there, if you did you wing it?
No, I didn't wing it, but I also.
But you didn't memorize what you said.
I didn't as in the one where I made 90K off it. I spent a month and a half preparing that.
And how much did you spend preparing this?
I spent about 4 hours across 2 days.
Okay, so what do you think the problem is?
Yeah.
You spent a massive amount of time preparing for the successful one, and you spent virtually no time preparing for the unsuccessful one. You see the common denominator?
No, of course. Also, that point about the framing, as in it wasn't like the reason why they were there was off.
Yeah, but tell me, how did you start the pitch at the end?
So it was I actually can't remember, but I led off. It was it was starting off from the point of I think just the point of brotherhood, as in how do we maintain this told a couple of stories, some passionate stuff, some emotional stuff. I had them crying at the beginning.
Okay, but you didn't say something like, all right, you guys all paid $5,000 to be here. And you paid to be here because you wanted to connect with like-minded individuals because perhaps you have a problem that you're struggling to solve in your business, but this guy over here knows exactly how to solve it. And then maybe this guy over here has a problem in his business and you know how to solve it. And so you're able to solve problems and level up a lot faster, all while connecting with people who know the struggles, who know what it's like to be you. Do you all feel like you got your money's worth? Did you make them raise their hands and say that?
I didn't know.
You didn't?
No.
Okay, so you did not remind them what they bought, why they bought it, and that it was worth it. So you didn't start it off then.
No, I didn't know.
Okay.
At all.
And then you said, would it be okay if I made you an offer to continue getting this value, get actually more value, and get it for an even lower investment than what you've invested? Would that be okay? Did you do that?
I didn't.
So you didn't ask for permission to pitch?
No.
Because when you say that and they said, yes, please sell me, how are they going to complain about you selling?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Okay. And they said, well, listen, does any of you feel that you solved a problem in your business by being here during these 3 days? Raise your hand. So then they raise their hand. And then you should, by the way, know these stories by talking to people before the pitch. But you could call out, say, 2 to 3 people. Hey, John, what was the problem that you solved by being here? He'll get up, he'll tell you the problem. And you say, okay, over the next 12 months, what do you think it's worth it to your company that you solve that problem? He's gonna say out loud a number. $1 million, $2 million, $100,000. So now, again, irrefutable. Okay. Now
it's funny. I had a guy that made $1 million deal on that. I could have.
Exactly. Okay. So now he said it. You didn't say it. You did not say,
You're right.
Hey, you guys probably made a lot of money by being here. You didn't say that. You got him to say it. Hey, Tom, what problem did you solve? Oh, you solved that. How much is that worth? $500,000. John, what problem did you solve? I solved this problem. Well, how much was that worth to your company? Oh, $3 million. Okay, guys. So can we all agree? This is a magic phrase. Can we all agree? Can we all agree? 500,000, 2 million, 3 million. What's the investment? What was the investment? 5,000. Can we all agree that this was a good investment? Yes? Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we did a good job here today and we delivered on what we promised. If you could have one of these meetings like this every month, what do you think that would be worth your... Tom, you made $2 million? If you did 12 of these over the next year, what do you think that $2 million would turn it on? 10 million. So, okay. So now you're establishing value of what it could be, right? Okay, guys. So if we were to charge $5,000 times 12, that is $60,000 for each one of these events. And look, I'm going to be honest with you. I want to continue having these because we learn a lot. I believe you learn a lot, and we all want to level up. But it takes a lot to put into these events so that we can do what we promised. And so I'm going to make an offer for you here today to continue doing this for the next 12 months. But it's not going to be $60,000. We're not even going to cut the price in half and make it $30,000. The investment is just $25,000, and that gets you access to one of these events every month for the next 12 months, the recordings of the event. And here's what we're going to do. We know you guys are busy, so every single event, we're going to record it. Then we're going to transcribe it. We're going to use AI to make a custom book of all the biggest lessons learned. And every month you'll get that book within 10 days of the event, so you can easily flip through it in case you forgot something. So you don't have to stress out about taking notes and remembering every conversation you had. But here's what I'm going to do for anybody who's willing to make a decision today. The $5,000 you already paid for this event, we're going to credit you that towards the 25. So the investment today is only 20.
Oh, wow. Bro, I want to buy it. There's nothing to sell.
Okay.
This is good, alarm verdict. This is very good. Okay.
Did you say anything like that?
No, nothing. This is powerful stuff.
Yeah.
This is powerful stuff.
One thing I do on the side when I have time, I go to events where people pitch, and then I will do a repitch, or I'll just do the pitch and I'll take a percentage of sales. So for, Russell Brunson, right? Funny story about him. He hired me to speak at Super Conference, and he did the pitch. And Russell's one of the best in the world at one-to-many.
Yeah.
I got up the next morning, and
He's the first guy, if I'm not mistaken, to $1 million off of a presentation. Russell,
what is it?
Was he the first guy to do $1 million off of a presentation?
I think you're talking about when I initially learned from Russell, I was the fastest to make $1 million at that time. I did it in 5 months.
Oh, wow.
Russell, I don't know. I mean, the first to make $1 million was probably somebody that's been alive much longer than us, but no, so I got up on stage the next day and I did the pitch and nearly sold as much as he did.
Really?
Yeah, he gave me a nice video testimonial about it. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
For his offer? Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I always tell the people, say, if I can nearly double Russell Brunson's sales, one of the best in the business, what can I do for yours?
Yeah, that's crazy.
But Russell, to be fair, I had one advantage, right? When Russell got up and pitched, I got to hear what everybody's questions and concerns was. So I got to create a pitch around
those objections.
So when I go to an event, I always hang out and I figure out, okay, what are people confused about? And then I always write my pitch the night before so that it's exactly what they need to hear. It's a little tactic I use to always crush sales on a repitch.
How do you overcome, well, you probably don't have to overcome it, but for me, and I've gotten this feedback from a lot of people, is that when you go into that pitch mode, it's like you feel insecure. You feel guilty to be selling, or you feel like out of place. And I feel like people can sniff that off you.
Yeah, exactly. So here's something that will absolutely murder your sales: when you give value and then you give a pitch. When you did your pitch and it bombed, did you get nervous and change the tone of your voice, the speed of your voice, and how you were speaking?
So what I did was, the first part, that was me in my element. I was just giving value. I was getting emotional. They were in tears. When I got to the pitch part, internally, because I didn't watch it back, but internally, I felt the difference. I felt the shift. And I know that because I wear my emotions on my sleeve, that must have come out.
Okay. So one thing that you must always remember when getting to the pitch: never change your speed, your tone, or your energy.
Okay.
Because when you do that, it sends a subconscious signal to the audience. Something's different. I'm nervous about this. I'm insecure about this. I don't have confidence in this. Which means the people listening will also be nervous, insecure, and lack confidence in it, even if it makes sense. You see, there's what you say and how you say it. So it not only has to make sense, but it has to be delivered in a way that feels good. Okay? So if you changed your state, because look, when people were listening, they were in a good state, a positive state. They were in a buying state. You were in a good state, a positive state, a selling state. But when you changed your energy, you changed your state. Now the audience also changed the state. You went into a state of lack, of nervousness, of insecurity, which made your audience go into a state of lack, of nervousness, of insecurity, which means they didn't want to buy. And not only did they didn't want to buy, they didn't feel good about it. So no matter how you feel inside, look, we're human beings. Every time I do a pitch, I'm just as nervous as when I didn't know what I was doing years ago.
Really?
Every single time. Oh yeah. I've done pitches. I've made $1 million in a day 3 times with a pitch.
Oh wow, not bad.
Okay. I have done hundreds of thousands of dollars in minutes with a pitch. Every single time I get nervous, just as nervous as the first day I ever did it. But what I realized was, it's not about what you feel. It's about how you react to what you feel. Okay? Human beings are not logical creatures to get emotional. They're emotional creatures that try to use logic to get through life. So you have to recognize, hey, you are an emotional creature. You just can't let that affect your decisions. So, quick story. When I worked at that company, the Pitchman company, I was very nervous my first day of work. And by the way, this is how I made more money in one day than I had ever made in my entire life. I was selling pots and pans at a grocery store for a pitch company. So every set of cookware in that store was like $60. The one I was selling was $500.
Oh, wow.
I was young. I didn't know how to dress. And I thought, no old person is going to listen to me and buy this super overpriced cookware. And so I went up to my manager and I said, listen, man, I don't think I can do this. I'm too nervous. And he looks at me and he says, yeah, I get that you're nervous. But he holds up a sheet of paper and he says, did you memorize this script that we taught you? And I said, well, yeah. And he said, this script, we spent years and millions of dollars perfecting the words on this page, and it's made us hundreds of millions. Do you think you're that special that it won't work for you?
Oh, wow.
And I was like, whoa. And he said, yeah, you're nervous. Of course you are. Just read the darn script.
Oh, wow.
So I went up and I read the script. I recited it word for word because I had memorized it. And that day, I made $1,500 in commissions. I sold like a dozen sets of this cookware, and I made more money in one day than I had ever made. I mean, I had delivered pizza for 7 years before that. The most I had ever made in a week was $500. I made $1,500 that day. And I learned that day one very important life lesson. You will never be broke if you know what to say. And it takes just one presentation to erase all the horrible financial decisions you have ever made in your entire life. Just need one.
This is very profound. When it comes to the run-up to the presentation, what is your advice in terms of like pre-education or nurturing them prior? Or do you feel like it's just best to just, you know, do it all live?
The more indoctrinated someone is, the more warm they are, the better they're going to convert, obviously, okay? So a lot of times people will do a presentation. They'll make money, and then they'll do it again, and it won't make as much money, and they wonder why. Well, here's why. The people who are warm to you, that are already on your list, that are already in your world, they'll buy anything. You could literally say almost anything and they're going to buy. So once you do a presentation, you have to do it again and get the true conversion rate for people that don't know you.
Okay.
Most people are not that good at webinars. They just think they're good because they sold something to people who already love them, like them, and trust them. And in reality, it kind of sucked. You just sold it and said it to people that already liked you. When you start doing it to people who don't know you, now you know where you really stand. Okay. So one trick you can do is run a Facebook ad, exclude everyone on your list, everyone that knows you, and run it only to dead cold traffic and see if it converts. And do that again until you can get it to convert and work. Once you do that, you know it really works. Then you can do it to your audience. It'll work even better, and it'll be an asset that you can use for years to grow your business. But in terms of warming people up, yes, the more you can give them, the better. But what I do is I write my entire presentation. We do the same thing for clients because we do done-for-you sales presentations. We write every word, their emails, their landing page copy, everything. We give it on a Google Doc. And I do this for my presentations as well. I put it on a Google Doc. Everything, every word I say is on a Google Doc. When I make content, when I make videos, when I make YouTube videos, Instagram Reels, emails, everything that I say that happens before that is simply mirroring what I say in the presentation. So I either take a small chunk out of it and I make a reel out of it, or I take something and I essentially say the same thing, but I say it in a different way. I use a different analogy. I use a different example. Okay? And so when I do that, I always know that if this presentation converts and I use content that resonates with the people that bought in my broader content, I'm always going to attract the right people. I'm always going to fill the room with the right people. And I already know I've said the right thing and I've made the right offer. Boom. $1 million presentation. And here's a trick that actually got me a 50% conversion ratio on one of my webinars. I call it the herd effect.
Okay.
So people love to do what other people do. They love it. So do you remember the ALS ice bucket challenge? Most people that dumped ice cold water on their heads didn't do it for cancer research. They didn't even know it was about that.
Was it about cancer? I didn't know it was about that.
You didn't know it was about that.
And I almost did it.
Right. You did it because you saw other people do it.
Okay.
You remember Pokemon Go?
Yes.
There was a stampede in New York City when people saw some Pokemon character that appeared in Central Park, and there was a stampede of people, okay? People paid $5,000 for a Princess Diana Beanie Baby because everybody was buying Beanie Babies. There was a dancing plague in, I believe it was France, where a woman started dancing in the street and she wouldn't stop. So other people started dancing with her. This went on for weeks, and people died.
What?
They just saw people dancing, so they started dancing. People like to do what they see other people do.
That's crazy.
Now, when
Is it recent?
Well, no, that was hundreds of years ago.
Okay.
But still, okay? And so...
But still, yeah.
Right? Crazy. So, this is something that you will never be able to leverage in one-on-one sales. If you're on the phone, it's you and them, period. But when you sell one-to-many and you have a bunch of people who are listening to, as soon as one person buys, everybody else saw that they buy. And they're like, oh, that person bought. Maybe I should buy. Then another person buys. And then they're like, ooh, that person bought. Ooh, I should really think about buying. And then another person buys. And the more people buy, it creates the herd effect. So one time I was on a Zoom presentation and I had a free Facebook group and I had a paid Facebook group for people that bought the offer. Well, when I got to the offer, I said, if you buy, please go in the free group and make a post and say, hey, Dan, I just bought the program. Can you add me to the student group? Every time someone posted, I screen shared, I showed that post, and I said, oh, congratulations to John. Brother, I will get you in the paid group. Send a message to my team right now. And then another person, and then another person. So many people bought simply because they saw that. There were people that bought that day. I think about 4 or 5 people, $4,000 or $5,000 because I was selling a $1,000 course. 4 or 5 people bought that weren't even on the webinar. They just bought because they saw other people buying and they're like, what did you buy? What did you buy? Oh, Dan just pitched this great thing. Oh, okay, I'm in. Boom. Hormozi did it by bringing the Guinness Book of World Records people on. He showed a counter.
Yes, I saw the counter, yeah.
Okay, and he's like, hey, we're going to do this together. Shows the counter, shows how many people are buying. You see that. Yeah. Creates the herd effect. Oh, I better buy. You can't do that in one-to-one selling. You can only do that when you're selling one-to-many, when you're a presenter. You see, when you sell on the phone, you are a slimy salesperson. And people don't like salespeople. You are simply a business owner. When you sell through presenting, you become much more than a salesperson or even a business owner. You become a thought leader. You become influential. You become in demand. You're a presenter. You're someone who puts his or her mark on the world. You now don't just make money, you make impact. And when you have the herd effect, what you do grows, your personal brand and everything you've ever wanted in life behind your cause, your message, and your passion goes 1,000 times faster.
This is very deep. Just a question on this, yeah. You mentioned, coming back to the example you gave me, like when I'm making a pitch and I'm referencing people's wins. I heard Hormozi say something and it kind of resonated with me. He said, when you sell to people, sell at the point of greatest deprivation, not the point of greatest satisfaction. So the analogy he gave was if you've just eaten a steak, you then don't upsell the person on another steak because he's satisfied. You have to wait a week. When he desires a steak again, then you sell it. So how do we reconcile that with what you just mentioned here? Because if I'm just like referencing their wins and they're in touch with each other, like they could just get everyone can just get each other's phone number right here, right now. How do we does that work here, or
are you talking about for your offer?
Or anyone who's invoking the successes before they make the pitch?
So I don't believe this relates, okay? Because he's talking about something different. What I'm talking about is simply showing people, hey, everybody else is doing this, you should do it too, creating FOMO, okay? What you're talking about is more of, how do I view this offer as something that I need right now? Okay. So when it comes to a business idea or explaining what you do, there are 4 levels of offers. And this is how you become a millionaire as fast as possible.
Okay.
In these 4 levels of offers, at level 1, we have what we call must be nice offers. These are offers to solve a problem that must be nice to solve, but ultimately it's not a big deal. Level 2 is what I call annoyance offers. These are offers that solve a problem that they're annoying. It's a really annoying problem your customer has, but ultimately they can live with it. At level 3, there's what I call insomnia offers. These are offers that solve a problem that genuinely keep your customers awake at night. They lose sleep over it. Many $1,000,000 businesses and offers are made at level 3. But then there's level 4. Level 4 is the highest level. It's what I call bleeding neck offers. These are where your customer feels like the problem you're solving is an emergency. Their jugular is bleeding out. They're stumbling into the emergency room, hoping and praying that they will get to a doctor before they pass out. Now, I'll give you a perfect example from one of our clients in my mastermind. He comes to me, burnt out, exhausted. He is an online tutor. He helps high school kids get better grades. He was charging $40 an hour, super exhausted. He says, Dan, how can I make more money? How can I run this business without being so exhausted? And I said, well, pitch me on your offer. He says, well, I help high school kids get better grades. I said, okay, well, this is why you are only being able to charge $40 an hour. You're commoditizing yourself because what's the going rate for a tutor? $40 an hour. I said, why did you start this business in the first place? He says, well, I was in my final years of high school, which that's what we call it in the U.S. High school. I think you guys call it
secondary school.
Secondary. Okay. So I was in my final year of secondary school, and I wanted to get into a top 5 school. My parents wanted me to get into a top 5 university, but my grades were nowhere near good enough. And I knew that if I hired a tutor, I just wasn't enough time. I would have to train with the tutor like 3 times a day. So instead, I went out and I learned how to learn faster. I took programs on how to retain information, on how to learn faster and absorb information faster. And I created my own little self-study system. And I was able to improve my grades in such a short amount of time that I actually did get into a top 5 university. That's what he told me.
Okay.
I said, okay, so you just pitched me on getting better grades, but what you really told me is you help kids get into a top 5 school, even if their grades are bad at the end of the secondary school, right? And he was like, well, I guess so. I never thought about it like that. I said, see, you are selling like a level 2 problem. It's annoying to have bad grades. But ultimately, the parents are bleeding out because the parents want their kid to get into a top 5 school, but they have terrible grades and it's literally the end of their secondary school. This is a bleeding neck problem for the parents. So I want you to start pitching it that way. I want you to start marketing that way. We will help your kid get into a top 5 school, even if their grades are terrible and they're at the end of secondary school. The next day, he comes on a call and he went from charging $40 an hour. He pitched it at what I told him to pitch it at, which was $3,000 for his base package. He made a sale first day within 24 hours of changing how he framed the offer. Because now he had a level 4 offer.
Can this be done with all offers? Is this or?
It can be, and you don't even have to change what you sell most of the time.
So it's a framing thing.
It's how you explain it. Yes.
Can I be cheeky and ask how I would do that for my offer?
Well, when it comes to bleeding neck problems, you'll notice that I just asked him why he did this. I had to go deeper, right? To discover a bleeding neck offer, a level 4 offer, you have to really dissect the anatomy of what you already sell, why people bought it. This is why earlier I said to you, survey all 40 of the people in this program. Ask them what problems being in it has solved. And if they could pick only one of those problems, and they would have still made the investment if they just got that one problem solved.
That's it.
What would that problem be? Look at all the answers. You'll find your bleeding neck offer.
Very nice. Beautiful, man. Just before we conclude, there's something I wanted to touch upon with you, right? So one thing that I've noticed amongst entrepreneurs, a is that they are great at investing in their business, those that are doing well. But you know, when you're building your own personal brand, you have an offer that's connected to your personal brand. It's something it's hard to sell, right? It's hard to exit from. I've heard you talk about this as well. Which is why, or perhaps one of the reasons why you obviously invested in real estate, which I think is a really phenomenal strategy. You know, you've got cash flow that's coming in from your business, but what you're doing is you're taking that and putting it inside of an asset class that's going to compound for you.
Yes.
And I feel like this type of thinking, I mean, you find it amongst like the elite guys that are doing really well, but most people are not very well versed when it comes to investing. So do you have any strategies or formulas about how you kind of allocate funds or any preferred asset classes? You know, some people confuse, should I go into crypto? Should I put money in Bitcoin? Should I invest in other businesses?
So I've made a lot of different investments and not all of them have worked out, but there's one that has worked out every single time, and that's real estate. My business has incredible cash flow and incredible profit margins, especially when you sell digital products, information. And I believe every business should sell information. You could be in any business you could think of. If you sell a book, that establishes you as an authority in your industry. That's essentially a digital product, ebook, audio, whatever, right? And it's always created digitally. So I think every business should have a digital product. I sell mostly digital products. I do seminars and whatnot. I just did one in Dubai. But when you sell digital products, you think of the idea once, it becomes your intellectual property, and now you can sell it over and over again, right? So this is why movies are so profitable, music is so profitable, because it's just air. They're selling air. And because I have a high profit business and it's based on my personal brand, it's difficult to sell, right? So instead of trying to build it and create it to exit, I take the cash from that and I put it in real estate and I let the money work for me. Now, when it comes to real estate, I made a lot of money in the US with a certain strategy, but I've had to shift that strategy here in Dubai. And I'll tell you both. So what I did in the US was I would purchase a waterfront property in Florida in an emerging area. And I would hold it, remodel it, and sell it. Now, sometimes I would do that where I lived. So I bought a property in the St. Petersburg area on the water, because whenever you're waterfront, even if the economy goes bad, luxury properties like that, they don't take as much of a hit as like your normal properties. So I always buy luxury. So now I'm in a luxury property that is going to go up. I get to live in an amazing luxury home, and I don't need a luxury home, but hey, if I can live in it and make money, great. So I bought a property for $2 million, and I sold it for 2.6. So I made $600,000 and I got to live in it. I bought another property for $700,000 and I sold it for 1.2 because we had remodeled it. Again, another waterfront property. Okay. So I buy high-end luxury. I improve them in emerging areas where people are still wanting to go. That worked for me in the US. But when I came to Dubai, I realized there was something a little bit different. Okay. See, people here in this region of the world, they're very big on status, okay? Much more so than in the US. Like here, you'll pay $1 million for a license plate. In the US, nobody would ever think, we would think that was just ridiculous. We would think you kind of like hit your head or something, you know? And so what I noticed here was if somebody likes something, they will pay more for it to make their wife happy, for example, right? So I had a property that I purchased. It was a villa. Now, I made sure to purchase it a couple months before handover. I don't believe in this off-plan nonsense, right? Like maybe it gets built, maybe it doesn't, right? But this was built. It was almost done. And it was one of the only villas finished in a neighborhood where everything else was like half built or just starting to go up. So I knew that just me buying it, all I had to do was wait until everything was done and it would be worth more because people would want it, right? Didn't even touch it. So I put it on the market and I bought it for 7.3 and I raised it to like, I think 8.1 or 8.2. First day on the market, I get an offer, full price.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, okay, well, I obviously priced it too low. So I raised it to 8.5. And the same guy that offered me full price for that paid full price at me raising it. He was not very happy about it. But, okay. Never saw the property. Never saw the property. Do you know why he bought it?
Why?
Because his wife saw it and his wife really liked it. And he wanted to make his wife happy.
Okay.
So he overpaid for a property.
To make his wife happy.
To make his wife happy.
Yeah.
Okay. That would never happen in the US. If you did that, your wife would divorce you for being stupid. Okay. We have a different culture. We're very money conscious. We're very value conscious. The price is the price based on the market value. We don't buy things based on how we feel.
Yeah.
It's the comps with the comps. Here, the price is more variable because it's a more emotional, status-driven market. And I mean, alhamdulillah, if you want to pay for something over market value because it makes your wife happy, amazing. However, there's an opportunity there, right? So, for instance, one idea that I have here that I think would be really good is you buy an apartment in a building where all the apartments look the same. Because they do that in Dubai. Like all the apartments look the same.
Yeah.
You buy it. You just make it look different style. Well, now it's the only apartment
in the entire building
that looks like that. I have a friend who crushes it using Airbnb because what he does is he buys apartments and then he themes them, like a Barbie apartment or a Disney apartment or a Star Wars apartment. So now on Airbnb, if you wanted to stay at something cool like that, it's the only one.
So you could have those themed apartments that you're also selling.
Right. So the same idea here is the only one, right? So I made like 37% return in 7 months on that villa. Okay. And I didn't even have to do anything to it. So in the US, I had to like redo everything, right? I had to, so I think in Dubai, there's a very big opportunity here. Most people are very big on off plan. I don't like off plan. I like stuff I can touch. And there's a lot of money to be made here in real estate. I really truly believe that Dubai is like, it's amazing, man. Like, I mean, the money you can make here, the opportunity you can make here, they've really done something special with this city. And so I'm excited to continue learning and looking how to do what we all want to do when we make money. Make our money, make more money.
Bro, it's been a very, very enlightening podcast. Just before we end, quick question. What are you currently reading?
What am I currently reading? So believe it or not, I spend most of my time reading very old books from guys like Dan Kennedy stuff. Like, and I'm not even the stuff you can buy. Like, I've got books that I've had to find on eBay and stuff like this. Like, when I spoke at the Super Conference, I asked some of the internal people there. I'm like, hey, do you have any old stuff, old manuals that you can get me? I grabbed those. But most of the stuff, because I've read a lot of books, most of the stuff that I've read is very old stuff. But one thing that I have on my desk, I forget the name of the book. Oh, no. Maybe you know the name of it. It's a book based on the Prophet, may peace be upon him, how he treated others. I believe it's called that, how he treated others. Or how he treated them.
Yes.
How he treated them.
In Arabic, it's كيف عاملهم. I have the Arabic version.
Right.
Yeah.
And it kind of gives you a blueprint of how to treat your husband and wife, how to treat your parents.
Even your enemies.
Etc. And, every time you achieve something great in life, you have things that you lack because you can't put full focus on everything. And in my life, many times I've achieved great things, but I've let things go and lack. And one of those things was like relationships. I got very busy with my business, so I didn't keep in touch with some of my older friends. Or maybe I didn't know how to slow down and listen to someone special in my life because I didn't find their problems relatable, when in reality, I should have just listened and had empathy. Like, we all have these things that we do. And my thing is, I'm a very impatient person. And this has served me well in business because I get so impatient that I figure the problem out quickly. But then in other areas of life, that impatience does not serve me, right? And so I think this is a very good book to show you, like, hey, like, the greatest man that ever lived, this is how he handled it. So if you're wondering how to handle it, well, just do this. So that's what I'm reading now.
Barakallah feek, man. I'm going to have to bug you for a reading list. Whenever I meet
I'll
someone,
give it to you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Maybe you should do a video on that topic. Whenever I see someone that I'm impressed with in terms of their expertise in a particular field, I just want to know what they're reading. Because,
Well, I'll give you something better than that. How to read, how to choose what you read.
Okay.
This made me a millionaire. So set a goal. Discover what problem you have right now that's preventing you from getting to that goal. Find the best 2 or 3 books that are about that problem. Read them. Don't read anything else. You will solve that problem. Then you will get to the next problem. Find the top 2 or 3 books that solve that problem. Read those. Then you will get to the next problem. And keep doing this over and over. Don't just randomly choose what to read. Don't read what other people are reading. Read the books that solve the problem that's preventing you from getting from where you are now to where you want to be right now. You systematically gain knowledge that overcomes problems. And if you solve enough problems, you get to become a millionaire.
Wow. In-time learning. I love that. Dan, bro, I really appreciate you, man. And you've obviously, shared a lot. And I really hope that people who maybe are seeing you for the first time, or maybe they've seen you before but haven't engaged with you and your content as much as they could have, I really hope they'll enter your ecosystem, inshallah, and benefit from you. I actually have been really anti presentation recently, but you've changed my mind completely, man.
I really appreciate the opportunity to come on and share. I really think, and I believe passionately, that people need to elevate themselves from salespeople to presenters, to thought leaders, because this is a higher level of being past just being a business owner. You want to
save 10% on commissions.
Yeah, and you save 10% of the commission.
And then 5% for the setters. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Jazakallah for inviting me on.
Barakallah fi, bro. I really appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Guys, with that said, man, we've got the links below to the Tony Robbins pitch breakdown, inshallah ta'ala. I'm going to link his channel. I'll link the Hormozi presentation breakdown as well, and any other links that are relevant. Please engage with our brother, inshallah. And hopefully we see you next week for another episode of the Righteous and Rich podcast, man. With that said, I got to love you and leave you. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.